welcome to the AwardsWatch Podcast. I'm TV Editor Tyler Doster, and today I'm being joined by Editor-in-Chief Erik Anderson
Movies are over, people. It's TV time.
and Associate TV Editor Karen Peterson.
I didn't think of a fun little intro for myself, and now I regret my choices.
That's like your new Real Housewives tagline.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at the Emmys. As Erik said, movies are now over. We're not going to think about those anymore, and we're going to look at the TV categories coming up at the Emmys. Since we're a couple months out, today will be a little bit looser. We're going to look at some lead categories, series categories, what's new, what's old, what's returning, and what's out, including things like the studio, which will not be returning for eligibility this year. So today, I just wanted to start by asking, what have you guys been watching lately? What's been on your radar that you think is going to be a big player at the Emmys this year? Erik?
Well, I mean, at the time of recording this, I think a lot of us and definitely I have seen a few things ahead of release or in their entirety. And that's a lot of the new things like Margo's got Muddy Troubles, Half Man, and just a handful of things that, we have a bit of a lead on for predictions. And it's I think it's going to be a really great season. It's going to be kind of fun with a few things not coming back that have taken up an enormous amount of nomination slots, which really is going to open things up for news shows, for something returning like the Pitt that's already going to be big and going to be much bigger this season, and hopefully leave some room open for things like Industry, which has built a bit of a cult following, but has had no Emmy presence so far.
Yeah, I hope that industry is something that we can look into as a player when we're looking at things that have left the Emmy space now that we have a little bit more room. Karen, what about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so of course there are a few things that came back in the last week or two, or started brand new. So, Beef is back on Netflix. Hacks returned for its final season. The Testaments premiered on Hulu. So we have some shows that are returning that haven't been around for a while or have been big winners the last several years. And then we also have The Testaments being a sequel to a show that was an Emmy darling years ago. So I think it'll be interesting to see how some of those new but not quite new things play out.
It's interesting. I think about even smaller shows like What We Do in the Shadows, which ended up taking so much space in writing categories, but now won't be doing
Deservedly
that
so.
every time. Every time. I'm never mad about What We Do in the Shadows, love.
Yeah.
Um, so even shows like that, the studio, that won't be back, but we still have other things. Like you mentioned, Hacks, we now have the comeback coming back this year, Only Murders in the Building. In the drama space, we have shows like Paradise, Slow Horses. So we'll definitely see our fair share of returning shows. And then, of course, which is why limited series is some of my favorite categories because we always get something new, unless Ryan Murphy is terrorizing the category yet again.
Oh, he
Um,
is.
well, every year, it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Yep.
like a Russian roulette of when he won't be in that category.
True.
So to start us off today, I thought we'd start with lead actor in comedy and just kind of discuss who's going to be up this year. Is Jeremy Allen White still a contender, and what we think about this? Erik, what do you think?
I think this is even, without the behemoth that is the studio. I think this is going to be a really interesting year for the Bear, which clearly has dropped off of the Emmys care radar to an astonishing degree. Going from a record number of nominations and wins to a record number of losses, literally from one year to the next. So I think it's going to be a bit of a bloodletting for this show. I think he's probably still in. He might be the last man standing for the show. But if we're looking at and basing possible nominations on last year's numbers, because we don't have submissions totals yet, there's only 5 spots here. So him missing, I think, is absolutely possible. Obviously, Martin Short will be in. Steve Martin has been kind of hit and miss with the show across different awards bodies, but he shouldn't be able to miss here. Jason Segel for Shrinking should be in. I think Steve Carell in Rooster is a distinct possibility. Ted Danson, Dan Levy, Ethan Hawke, I think for sure should be considered. And I'm hoping, amidst all of this grouping, there's a place for Tim Robinson, who is an Emmy winner.
And I think, what do you think about the fall and rise of Reggie Dinkins, which is getting more of a following in the last few weeks? Do you think that Tracy Morgan has a shot here?
I think a shot. Also, a previous nominee and for a big show, but it's been a while since he's been in this conversation. Peacock has an incredibly difficult time getting nominations for their shows. So I think that maybe there's an outside shot, but I would be unlikely to predict him for a final 5.
Karen, what about you? What are you thinking when it comes to especially Steve Carell joining the fray for Rooster? He famously never won an Emmy for The Office. Do you think it's time they'll give him another shot at this?
I think that he's definitely in the mix. But when I look at what shows people seem to really be talking about, Rooster's not, like, I don't really hear that much in the conversation at all. And if people aren't watching it, then they're not going to nominate him when there are other performances to gravitate to. I also wanted to jump back into what Erik was saying about The Bear and ask you guys a question. Do you think the fact that people, obviously the reaction to each season has been a little bit different, and it's been kind of dropping off in terms of enthusiasm, but do you think the fact that people really look at that as category fraud, and say that this is a drama, not a comedy, do you think that has anything to do with why it's fallen off with the Emmys?
I feel like for me, I think that it's fallen off with the Emmys as it's fallen off with audiences. I think it became a little exhausting after a couple seasons of the frenetic energy of the show. And I think you're right. I think some people were getting thrown off by its category fraud because, of course, it is competing in comedy when it is got episode like the one that features Jamie Lee Curtis being the loudest person on earth. Um, I think, but I do think that it's kind of hand in hand with as audiences have fallen off the bear as the seasons have gone on, the Emmys are falling off of it too. What do you think, Erik?
It's odd because I'm always very cautious of how we perceive uh, online reactions to things versus a real voter, and clearly the voters did not feel that way. The progression of what a comedy series is has changed so dramatically over the last 2 decades that they were fine with that category placement. But the absolute about face that they did from one season to the next is really unusual for Emmy voters who really do like to rubber stamp. So I don't want to say that there was a whole lot of influence by the perception of it as being more of a drama than not. Otherwise, I think the conversation would be internally establishing stricter rules about what is and what isn't. But that would require like a blue panel ribbon to make those decisions. And they can say no. So, but they haven't.
Yeah. By the way, I'm in the camp of I've been defending it as a comedy series since the beginning. So that's not me saying it's category fraud. I hear that from people. And so I just wonder where if that has any effect on what's happening with the Academy. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Erik. I think that If they felt that way, they would have either changed the rules or just challenged the submission and switched it.
I'm pretty much okay with kind of almost anything. If you wanted to put Euphoria in comedy, I'd be cool with it. I'd be totally fine. Do it.
I think really, and this is obviously a conversation for another show, but I think there's a whole argument to be made for what is drama and what is comedy. And maybe we need to redefine how we look at TV in general, especially as there is a massive blurring of the lines between the two.
And Emmy history has shown that they have made rule changes based on things like time. And I mean, that's what took Orange is the New Black from a comedy to drama. They forced it really in there because of the length of the episodes. And then they switched for The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So they kind of, yeah, the choices that they made specifically with those two shows showed, I think, maybe a little more outside influence than internal.
Yeah. I'd be really curious what it would look like if they just did a top 10 series. Like, just what are the best shows of this year, and have something like Shrinking competing with I don't know, Rooster, or yeah, any, take your pick.
I mean, I am absolutely against having fewer categories.
I am too.
But
I'm not
yeah.
advocating for that. I'm just like, it would be interesting to see what it would look like, back in the day, if you had Ted Lasso competing against Game of Thrones or Succession or something, what would that have looked like?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe speaking of the bear, and we're talking about how it's going to get probably a little bit less this year as it's starting to fall off a little bit. Do we think moving into lead actress comedy, do we think that Io Adebri is now out in the now race between Lisa Kudrow and Jean Smart? Karen, what do you think?
This comes back to what are people talking about? And The Bear feels so long ago now. And so, like, part of that is just because there's been so much TV, and part of it is just because this world, or this year, has been 18 years long. And so I think, yeah, I mean, I don't think she's totally necessarily out. I think she's still very much in the conversation, but I do see it being very easy for her not to get nominated this year.
Who else do you think is going to be in the lead actress in comedy race?
Oh man. I think, well, do I think, or do I hope or wish or dream? Because there are a few that I would really love to see that I don't know. Like, I would love to see Kristen Wiig for Palm Royale. I think that show has not gotten enough love. I think another show that so many people talk about is Nobody Wants This. So I think Kristen Bell is in the mix for that. Um, yeah, I mean, you can't count out Abbott Elementary, so Quentin Brunson is definitely in there too,
Yeah,
for sure.
perennial nominee.
Hmm.
Erik, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think the locks are Jean Smart, Lisa Kudrow, and Quinta Brunson. And as much obviously as this category is clearly between Smart and Kudrow, uh, Quinta Brunson's last episode of Abbott Elementary, where she gets really drunk, top tier. I think it's the best that Brunson's ever been on the show. Absolutely hilarious. I would also obviously add a soft lock for Elle Fanning for Margot's Got Money Troubles, killer performance. And I think there might be, outside of, the potential for previous nominees like Jenna Ortega and Selena Gomez, that Rose Byrne might have maybe a little bit of afterglow heat from her Oscar nomination to get in for Platonic. But that's really on the outside. But maybe if she were to get in, again, this would be a field of five. It would really be on the strength of that Oscar nomination.
Well, and I hope that would happen because I actually have her written down. I love that performance. I love that show. I wish more people were watching it, and I do hope that she kind of jumps in, even though it seems like it's kind of a stray for her to get in there. If she got in there at this point, it would be, like you said, I think a little bit of an afterglow nomination from the Oscar. Um, I think Selena Gomez is an interesting one every year. I'm never sure because her co-stars are always a lock for Only Murders. So it's kind of crazy that it's give or take. Is she going to be there? Is she not going to be there? But I do think even though this category is at this point Jean Smart versus Lisa Kudrow, obviously it will be filled out by other actresses. Um, and I think that my biggest hope is that even though it, like you said, a soft lock, I think that Elle Fanning hopefully gets into. Um,
I feel very good about her getting it.
it's a great performance.
It is.
Um, moving on to actual comedy series, we're missing the studio, last year's winner, so we have a huge missing hole right there. Like we already mentioned, What We Do in the Shadows is no longer here, but we have plenty to fill it in. What are we thinking is going to be the front runners to get into this category, Erik?
Well, this is a category that's going to have 8 slots. I only have 9 shows listed. So it's going to, what I think anyway, be 8 of these names, and that's Hacks, Only Murders, Abbott, Shrinking, The Comeback, The Bear, Nobody Wants This, Margo, and The Lowdown. Unless I'm totally hilariously missing something, I'd be hard pressed to see it go too far outside of this.
Yeah, you're
Mm.
missing I Love LA.
Am I?
No. Karen, what do you
Although,
think?
I just realized there's no Netflix titles here. So this can't be right.
What
Well,
about
nobody
Nobody
wants
Wants
this.
This?
Yeah, nobody wants this. Even like Big Mistakes or Man in the Middle, if those have any heat. Yeah.
Is
Like,
Wednesday's in comedy, right?
and Wednesday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, one of those is going to have to find its way in because I don't see Netflix missing here.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't
The only
either.
other one that I kind of think maybe, but again, this is one that the first season was talked about a lot, and this season really hasn't, and that's the new season of Jury Duty Company Retreat. Um,
I would love
it's
that so
really
much.
funny. You what?
I would love that so much.
Yeah, it's really funny. It deserves it, but also it needs people watching it.
We're definitely in the age of these streamers just unceremoniously starting to drop content and do
Hmm.
and new shows and treat it like content, where they just kind of drop it, don't really say anything, and then hope for the best.
That's Apple.
Um, yeah, well, Apple, I don't even know if they're hoping for the best. They're just dropping, they're just dropping shit. Um, when it comes to big mistakes, I think that Netflix could have a little bit of a player on its hands. Of course, they have Laurie Metcalf really giving it her all on that show, Dan Levy, who's a previous Emmy winner, but it's going to come down to if audiences ride it into the nominations because Netflix is not going to do any publicity for it. They've already dropped it, and it feels like, other than it being in the top 10 on Netflix, that there's no real way of seeing how it'll do because they're not really promoting it other than a couple of tweets.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder, I wish that I will say another wish for me is I wish the paper got a little bit more love. I think the first season of that was pretty solid. And if we're seeing it as a sequel to The Office, which once again famously just never got any Emmy wins for its performances, I think that would be something because Sabrina Imperatori is at least a contender for supporting actress. But everyone on that show was doing good work.
Yeah, again, I mean it's a Peacock issue. They really really struggle with their shows.
Well, and speaking of Peacock, another show that I actually really found fun was The Burbs. Kiki Palmer is great in that. And it was a lot of fun, but it's a Peacock show, and it's really hard for me to put too much strength into predictions there because I don't know. I mean,
I mean
they
I
just
know
don't
they're
get enough
pushing
people
them.
watching. Yeah.
There's going to be a big push for both of those shows from Peacock.
Yeah. I just don't know what the disconnect is there because they've had some really good shows over the years and they just they can't seem to find an audience. I don't
If they did
I don't get it.
everything the same way they promoted the traitors, this might be different.
You know, you're not wrong.
If they would just give everything a little bit more love, and maybe if Ellen Cumming was involved too.
I mean, Alan Cummings should be involved in everything.
I was just gonna say, put him on every Peacock show, and I think you've got something there.
Alan Cumming in The Burbs.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that I think would be amazing.
Put him as a rival for Wendy Kofi on St. Dennis Medical.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would
actually,
kill
this
for
is about to
that.
turn into a fan cast right now because that's perfect.
Mhm.
This is a fan cast podcast now. And while we're at it, can we just get Alan Cumming on one of the Housewives too? That's a Bravo thing, but it's close to the Peacock. But I bet he would just be great.
It's all under the
Um,
same umbrella, so they could really cross over quite easily.
Hmm.
he could be a friend of.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yes.
let's move on to lead actor in a limited series or television movie. I say television movie, even though, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think any are going to get nominated in this category.
Mm-mm.
Um, Karen, who are you excited to see in the lead actor limited series or outstanding movie category?
Well, this is where I'm like not totally sure where people are gonna go category wise. But I think Oscar Isaac was great in Beef, which I did finish this week. And I mean, Jamie Bell is really good in Half Man, exceptional in Half Man. Um, and so is Richard Gadd. And that's one of those things where it's like, are they both going to go lead? Is one going to go supporting? I don't know. What about the younger versions of them? Like, because they have just as much screen time, I think. Yeah, but that show I think is going to do a lot.
Eric, what about you?
This is going to be a half man podcast because whatever HBO decides to do with these four actors, there is no right answer. I don't think. Well, I think there's a right answer, and I think they're going to make the wrong choice because
You heard it here first.
I've seen all episodes, and not too much of a spoiler, but the first three are entirely about the younger versions of Jamie Bell and Richard Gadd, with them as, adults bookending each of those episodes. But once you get to 4, 5, and 6, it's entirely Gadd and Bell. But it is my absolute belief that Jamie Bell is the only lead of this show, because it is told through him and his character. He's the only one between him and Gadd that have anything outside of the relationship between those two. Richard Gadd's character does not have anything outside of whatever he's doing directly with Bell. This is Bell's story from beginning to end. He is the lead. And I worry that they're going to just fraud him into supporting. And then that also means we don't really have much of a chance for the two actors that play them, the younger versions of them, who are incredible, Stuart Campbell and Mitchell Robertson, absolutely amazing performances. That being said, this is the bleakest show I think that the Emmy voters are going to contend with this year. And I think it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
Do you both think the bleakness of the show is an asset or detrimental to the show?
It's interesting to watch a show where when there are moments of humor, that's what's jarring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the experience of watching this. It's like, wait, was I supposed to laugh at that? Where'd that come from? And so I think it's going to make it hard for people. I mean, Erik warned me this week that it is not a binge show, and he was very right. It's really difficult to binge. And that could be a barrier for people, but it's also undeniably great.
Mm-hmm. I think it is, performance wise, is going to be one of the best things that people watch, and especially Jamie Bell. What he's doing in this show is so unlike anything that he has ever done. He is incredible and devastating. But it's also, I mean, if you remember that episode from Baby Reindeer, that's what every single episode of this show is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is going to test people's ability to empathize, honestly, with Bell's character and what he is willing to go through. But I hope they do, because he's worth it. They're all worth it. I told you this isn't a half man podcast now. Sorry.
I'm
Half Man
down.
Watch.
Yeah.
Do we think there's room for Jason Bateman this year from Black Rabbit?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes. This is
I
a
think
category that's going to have 6 spots, so I think it will be a bit um crowded, because I think they're going to fraud Charles Melton into supporting for Beef, even though everyone on that show is a lead.
Yeah, there's 4
Um,
oh,
leads.
for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Bateman
the
also
younger
has
couple.
DTF St. Louis too.
Yeah,
I-
I was gonna bring it up.
Your favorite
I've been
show.
I've been vocal about my feelings about this show, but I do feel like David Harbour is going to work his way into this. If there are moments that are okay in the show, it is because of him. So maybe I won't be too upset about that. But I do agree. I think the younger couple on Beef is going to be frauded into supporting. So I think that Spaney and Melton will both be taken out of the lead categories, which is just not where
Mm-mm.
they belong.
Mm-mm.
Um, and then I think that we're going to see some Charlie Hunnam action from Monster, the Ed Gein story,
100%.
based on the novel Push by Sapphire.
Oh my God, here we go.
Has
So
has all of the attention fallen off of The Beast in Me, Matthew Reese?
I
Or is
wish
he
it
still in the
wouldn't.
mix?
I wish it wouldn't. I love that show. If
I think he's definitely in this, but yeah, this is a 5-person category. It's going to be brutal, because you have
Mhm.
Oscar Isaac and Matthew Reese, both Netflix. Black Rabbit, also Netflix. So you've got Jude Law and Jason Bateman.
The Ed Gein
Um,
one with Charlie Hunnam is also Netflix.
and so is, as much as I don't want it to be, His and Hers, hugely popular show. Of all of the shows that we're talking about in this section of limited series, His and Hers is the biggest popularity wise. It just
Mhm.
also happens to be the worst.
it's extremely audience friendly while being
Mm-hmm.
also an absolute
Derogatory.
mess. Yeah, correct. Yeah. It's as they say, accessible
Mm-hmm.
to contemporary audiences while being
Mm-hmm.
an absolute hot mess.
Yes.
Um, speaking of, I will say, speaking of John Bernthal's co-star Tessa Thompson, we can move into lead actress limited, which I think I'm going to be honest with both of you. I haven't told you this, but this might be my favorite category at the Emmys this year. And there is one specific reason, and that's because Sally Field is now competing for her octopus movie. And I've never been so excited about anything. Sally Field is here for Remarkably Bright Creatures. She's come out of nowhere. I've watched the trailer like 5 times.
Did either of you guys read the book?
Mm-mm.
Oh my
No,
gosh, I loved the book so much. And when I heard that Sally Field was playing that character, I was so excited. Yeah, she's great.
I'm absolutely thrilled about it because I have seen the book multiple times in a library and bookstores and have never picked it up once and flipped it over to see what it is about. The cover's very pretty. So when I watched this trailer and found out, this has become my obsession. She has to win now. I haven't even seen this. She has to win. I'm sorry, Carrie Mulligan for beef, but Sally Field, we really like you. Like,
Oh my gosh.
So I just wanted to lay my claim here. But I will say for me, I perennial nominee Claire Danes in The Beast in Me. I think she's going to be here for making her signature face at least 3 times an episode. Um,
I don't
but I
know
do.
if you guys have seen the TikTok account, which only does Claire Danes as doing like everyday activities, but like in full Claire Danes mode. Absolutely one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And Claire Danes is in full Claire Danes mode in The Beast and Me in the best way possible.
Yes.
You've actually sent me those before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I want in
they're
on that. You haven't sent them to me.
I will because
Thank you.
it's as good as that old video of the girl that does the Keira Knightley, which absolutely put me on the floor, actually under it, like in a grave. Absolutely hilarious.
those were
Awesome.
perfect. And
Yeah,
the Claire Danes ones are really good too.
they
This
are.
woman is she could get an Emmy for playing Claire Danes in
Mm-hmm.
a Claire Danes limited series.
Oh, okay, I mean, I want that like right now.
Um, right. Moving back, I do think that a huge contender in this and lead actress limited series is Sarah Pigeon for Love Story. I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone's watching Love Story. Even people in the southern United States are watching Love Story. Um, and that, if that doesn't tell you anything, it really
Not even
should.
Southerners. Oh my God.
Even white ladies in the South are approaching me and saying, "Have you seen that Love Story?"
Oh my
So I
gosh.
know that
Oh my
it's
God.
something else. Yeah, it's and then of course, I don't know if she's going to get nominated, but anytime Patricia Arquette is nominated in this specific category, I get nervous that her name is going to pop up. So for Murdaugh Death in the Family, I'm scared that she's going to appear in this category kind of out of nowhere.
Oh, she is.
Um,
I have her here absolutely like Beetlejuice style. So
Patricia,
let's,
Patricia, Patricia.
well, now you've done it.
Thanks a lot, Tyler.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
she's
my
not going to be
God.
able to beat Sally Field in that octopus. I won't have it.
What
Yeah.
about this goes back to the Peacock discussion, but what about Sarah Snook and All Her Fault? Is she a contender?
Yeah. For a
I think
nomination,
so.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. She should
I
be
think so,
able
yeah.
to get in. Again,
Yeah,
a five slot category, it could be pretty brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
we
This is
do.
one of
Yeah,
those, yeah, this is one of those things where sometimes people, when they talk about the like who got nominated and who didn't, they start to talk like the people that didn't, just nobody liked their performance. And it's like, no, it's just such a bloodbath to get in there. There's so many possibilities. So this is just how it works out.
Yeah.
I think my favorite nominee prior to seeing the octopus movie is
When does that come
probably
out?
May 8th.
Okay.
How do I know
okay.
that? Because I know it.
That was quick.
Is it on your
Hmm.
calendar?
Oh, it's in my brain calendar because I cannot wait. And I want that screener right now. Because I also believe in a Lewis Pullman supremacy. So yeah.
Yeah, the casting for that movie is just going to be, it's just
I
perfect.
know it's a really beloved book, so I'm really excited for everyone that loves the book too, because it just looks really so sweet and
It is so
lovely.
It
sweet.
looks
It
really
is.
wholesome. It looks
It's
Mhm.
one
like
of
I'll
those
probably cry.
books. Yeah, it was one of those books, one of those stories where when I finished it, I just, like you close the book and you just happy sigh because it just felt like such a good experience while reading it. So I believe with all my heart that the movie will be the same way.
When we do an Emmys check-in next month, I predict now that we'll be talking about this movie quite a bit because
I
it will
hope
have
so.
been out. Um, we aren't going to look too much into outstanding television movie quite yet, but we are going to look into the outstanding limited series category. We've mentioned quite a few. Do we think that there are other shows that could get in? What do we think about Lord of the Flies, Death by Lightning? Karen?
I think that yeah, I mean Netflix is really good at this, and so I could definitely see Lord of the Flies finding a way into this category. But it kind of becomes what, so much of this is them competing against themselves. So it's like, which of their projects do they shepherd into that? And I, I don't know. At this point, looking at it, I think if something like The Beast in Me gets in, it's going to be because it was good when people watched it a few months ago. And if I were on an awards, Emmy team trying to shepherd some projects in, I would probably be pushing more for the new stuff so that people will watch it.
Yeah,
So
what do you
that
think,
would be
Erik?
something like Lord of the Flies.
Well, and I don't even know if anyone's excited about Lord of the Flies because,
Yeah.
they're just kind of not doing their thing. They're doing their thing about it. They're just about to just drop it on there and hope people watch it. What do you think,
Yeah.
Erik?
I watched the first episode of Lord of the Flies. It's fine. It's good. We've seen multiple versions. It's not really bringing anything new or different. As far as Death by Lightning goes, we didn't really discuss it in the
We
acting
didn't.
categories, but it has two dual leads, both that deserve to get in for Michael Shannon and Matthew McFadden, both incredible. But in supporting Nick Offerman and Shea Wiggum, also incredibly deserved,
Mhm.
especially Nick Offerman. He could win. That
Yeah.
is how great he is. And this is a show that only has 4 episodes. Very, very consumable. And it is fantastic.
And it's a show about a president that nobody remembers.
Mm-hmm.
You might have learned his name when you were studying, like when you were memorizing all the presidents in fifth grade or something. But everybody watched this. So many people were asking me, have you seen Death by Lightning? People who don't make time to watch TV were watching Death by Lightning. So I do think that it is I do think it should be a contender. I hope that it is, but I think that there are some other things that, again, more with the recency, like Beef, and Half Man. I think
Mm-hmm.
those are potentially going to crowd it out. But if in a fair world, it would be those would be the top three, really.
It's funny that we have now started a genre of limited series that are based on the killers of presidents after the John Wilkes Booth show with Anthony Boyle, which was really, really, really good. So I'm like, what is next? Who's getting their like time to shine? Because I'm not the craziest history buff, but I knew nothing of Guteau. So
Yeah.
just the opening up of him as a person was really something. And McFadden is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Insane. He is. I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
put that man in not even jail.
Under
Hang
the
him.
jail.
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
Yeah. So good.
I'm excited because I think too, I'm very excited about Beef coming back this year. I think, it did well the first go round. It even in its trailer for season two, it made note of all its accolades that it took home for the first one. Um, and I'm excited even though, like we've kind of mentioned, I think that there are four leads to that show, and we're going to play it off as if they're two, which are the two older actors. Um, but I am excited to see the Netflix of it all in this category because I do think every year they kind of crowd it, which is hilarious because, like, even last year with Adolescence, I feel like critics and word of mouth really took that show to the next level, as it usually does. So I'm excited to see if that's going to happen this year with Netflix, if that's going to be Beef, or if HBO will be able to, no matter the bleakness of Half Man,
Mm-hmm.
put it into a position where, hey, we've got you in front of the screen now. We want you to watch this because I've been seeing commercials for it on everything that I've been watching that doesn't have that damn Harry Potter show commercial in front of it.
Oof.
Well, and with Half Man, I think part of the reason that it's even on anybody's radar is a little bit because of Netflix, because Richard Gadd's Netflix show, Baby Reindeer, that won everything a couple of years ago. And that was like the talk of that limited series category. So yeah, it all comes back to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Reindeer, which also, if I'm remembering correctly, came out in April that year. just kind of
Hmm.
dropped on Netflix and over the weekend got a huge word of mouth and a huge
Yep.
push. So they're not new to this game.
Sure.
They know how to do it,
And then
Hmm.
adolescents
unfortunately.
last season, so they know when they have like their main thing, which is kind of the issue that they're going to run into this year because they have five viable contenders here. They just
Hmm.
need to decide what to focus on. And as I mean, I love Beef so much. I think I liked this season more than the first, but to be able to kind of reach those levels, I think is setting it up for failure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm. It's going to be an interesting fight in this category. It's really going to come down to publicity and who's willing to watch what. Because of course, Beef is a much more uh it's an easier watch than Half Man, of course. So it's going to be a little bit of a different contender based on who's in the mood.
Mhm.
Um, it's at this point that we are moving into the drama category. So if you are a fan of the Pit, it is now time for you to turn off the podcast. Um, Moving into lead actor drama, what do we think of Noah Wiley's last 15 episode run of The Pit? And who do we think will be joining him in this category, Eric?
I mean, Noah Wiley's going to win, and congrats to the four other nominees. You did your best, but it doesn't really matter. That being said, I think we're looking at Mark Ruffalo in Task, Gary Oldman in Slow Horses, Sterling K. Brown in Paradise, and then it gets really fun because who's going to take up that fifth slot? Because there's a whole lot to choose from between Walton Goggins, Billy Bob Thornton, John Hamm, Peter Claffey, Walton Goggins. Someone's one of those is getting in there, but that's gonna be the mystery, I think.
I will do a quick insert because you mentioned Mark Ruffalo in Task, and he might not be here today, but executive editor Ryan McQuaid would just like you all to know that that was the best performance of last year,
Yeah, he did say that.
multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
He's told me in conversation multiple times this exact fact. So I just wanted everyone to know that if he was here,
Mm-hmm.
he would want us to know.
Oh yeah,
Um,
like he's Ruffalo's like he's his client. It's just wild. Loves him.
One show that we haven't talked about at all today, but that I want to say for a basically legacy sequel, um, Michael C. Hall in Dexter Resurrection was really good, and this new season was a lot of fun to watch. I was a huge Dexter fan for the first, 5 seasons of its original run. Um, I enjoyed Original Sin. I was kind of sad that that got canceled after one season, and
Is
then
that the one with Teen
um,
Dexter?
mhm,
Yeah.
it was not good, but I still had fun with it. And but then Resurrection, which takes him now into New York City, and now he's meeting up with other serial killers, and his son kills somebody and thinks, "Oh, I'm like my dad," and it's very complicated, but it was for people who really loved the original Dexter when it was in its heyday. I think this show, this new iteration of it, is really recapturing some of that, and I would love to see Michael C. Hall in the mix. I'm just gonna say,
I
even
love
though
the
it's still Noah
Yeah.
Wiley and he's my guy.
I love the possible pull quote of it's not great, but I did have fun. Um,
That's Dexter's entire experience in New York City, doing Jason Takes Manhattan.
No, I think Resurrection is actually good. I have really enjoyed it. I think Uma Thurman was great. Oh man, what's his name? David Dastmalchian was really creepy. He was so good. So yeah, it's been a
Fork
lot
found
of
in
fun.
kitchen there.
I'm hoping if we have a little bit of room, I'm hoping that Walton Goggins can jump back in for Fallout. I think that's a performance that I love no matter what.
Hmm.
He's great in that show. He's so terrific. And then I always hope for more love for the Gilded Age. So I do hope that Morgan Spector also gets some love this year.
I need my railroad daddy to make the cut.
What do we think is going to happen with the Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
Oh, I was waiting to talk about this. Um, I think this is so fascinating that they have decided to go into drama with this show when it is so clearly built as a comedy. And kind of what we mentioned earlier about how time has been a factor, like runtime has been a factor in these decisions before. That is a 30-minute show as well. So it is funny to me that they're, even with, the drama of like episode 5 of the battle scenes, it is mostly built as a comedy. So I do think it's funny that it will be going against all these other series and drama. So I'm glad you brought that up because I was gearing up for drama series to talk about this.
It's kind of like the opposite of the bear, where it's very dramatic, but it's in comedy, but this one is very funny and it's in drama. So I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
know.
I think it does shift. The first like 2 or 3
Yeah.
episodes are very, very funny, and then it does really kind of make that shift into more like committed drama territory. I loved
Hmm.
this show. I think Peter Claffey is amazing, and I would love for him to get that fifth spot. The little bald child, would love if there was room for him.
Yeah.
Not
I
here,
just want
obviously, but in supporting.
Hmm.
I just want everyone to know that after years of knowing Eric and how little he gives a damn about the Game of Thrones universe, for him to, when he watched it, he told me how much he enjoyed this show,
Hmm.
and I still can't believe it.
I
Um,
loved it. I
It's
loved
I'm
it.
so
thrilled.
good. It's so
It
good.
is,
Yeah.
but you already know Eric won't be watching the other Game of Thrones shows just because he enjoyed this one.
No, I mean, honestly, the 30-minute runtime was so appealing, and absolutely, I was hooked.
Yeah.
It's really good. It is. Um, over to a super fun category that should have two actresses from industry in it, we can talk about lead actress drama. Um, we have Rhea Seehorn this year, who Eric thinks will never win an Emmy,
You won't.
only because she's cursed from Better Call Saul.
It is that. I'm
Um,
not I'm not saying this as like a personal thing. I just there is a curse that has just kind of permeated and is bled now, like I think into this. I think she's gonna struggle to win things, and it's too bad. She's lovely.
and she's really good in this show, but I do
She's
think
amazing in this show.
for some reason, she has her own problem getting the votes. Even, I mean, years of Better Call Saul where people wanted her to win and she could never get it.
It took
Um,
her how long to even get nominated for Better Call
E-
Saul?
exactly.
right. Years.
Hmm.
By the time she was getting nominated, it was too late.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those situations where the nomination came and the win followed it immediately because of the performance. It felt like they nominated her to shut everyone up at some point.
You're not
And
wrong.
I'm not even trying to be shady. It just feels like they weren't even really paying attention to her. Um, who else do we think is gonna permeate this category? What do you think, Karen?
I think Zendaya probably is going to be in. I think it'd be really like not smart to count her out. Um, Euphoria. I'm going to be honest, I've never actually watched Euphoria. When it first came out, it just knowing what it was about, I was like, that doesn't feel like something I should be watching. So I just didn't. I don't know, just like the lives of these high school kids that I don't know, it felt weird to me, but I don't know. I probably should go back and
Well, they're
rectify
no
that.
longer in high school now, Karen, so it's all
Yeah, so I
fine.
can watch it and feel a little less bad. But but I also think, speaking of Afterglow nominations, we could look at Chase Infinity for The Testaments. I think she's definitely there. Um, I think, gosh, you can't count out Kathy Bates for Matlock. She's been kind of a favorite. Carrie Russell for The Diplomat is another big one. Um, people, that's another show that people that don't care about TV talk about The Diplomat. And oh my gosh, have you watched The Diplomat? And they love it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I agree with that. Someone I'm hoping I just want more love on this show. I love Caitlin Olsen in High Potential. I wish more people was watching that. And I just want her to get a little something because I think she's so good on that show. She's so fun. Um, and then of course we do have Michelle Pfeiffer maybe joining the run for the Madison because Taylor Sheridan shows don't ever quit.
They also don't ever get nominated, so let's just hope that streak continues.
I'm nervous about her. She's great in Margo's Got Money Troubles. I'm gonna be honest with everyone. I haven't watched the Madison, but I'm nervous that they're gonna let her in.
I don't really watch any of the Taylor Sheridan stuff, so I can't
No,
speak about it at all.
that's
No.
a that's a show for Republicans. Sorry, but it just is. I'm sorry, but no. I mean, she's win worthy for Margo, so I wouldn't be incredibly surprised, but a little bit. Again, this is only a 5 nomination slot category, and Seahorn, Russell, and Zendaya, I think, are really, really pretty locked in. Even if they denied Euphoria completely, Zendaya, I feel like, would get in anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Bates, yeah, but I do feel like that initial season was sort of a like a welcome back. I mean, she is a Emmy winner for Horror Story, but it just felt a little bit more like, hey, let's embrace a veteran and a network show, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not quite sure what the impetus would be to bring her back. She didn't win,
She didn't. That's
so
true.
I don't know. Besides, I'd
Yeah.
rather see Carrie Coon in here.
Yes.
Deserved, always deserved. Um, Definitely the industry girls would be amazing in here. Especially Marissa Abella. She has her submission locked, ready to go. I would
Ready
I
to
would
g-
love that.
in a way that most people don't.
Mm-mm.
That episode is so packaged correctly for her. If more people were ready to give this show a chance when it comes to accolades like this, it'd be over.
Mm-hmm.
It
Agreed.
would
Yeah.
really be over.
Another
Um,
show. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say playing the most by the time the season 4 is over, playing the most evil person you know. It's fantastic. What were you gonna say, Kara?
I was just gonna say another show that people have kind of forgotten or really fell off is the morning show. I mean, we've got Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon are still there, and but I honestly, the first couple seasons, everyone was talking about it, and now I don't know anybody who's still watching it. But I still think
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that there's a world where they're Reese and Jennifer, and they could still be in contention, possibly there too.
For sure. And the show's gotten previous seasons with multiple nominations. And then obviously
Yeah.
Billy Crudup as a winner. So
Mm-hmm.
it is, but it also does feel like a show that, yeah, Billy Crudup will still get in, but he might be the last man standing.
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I do agree with Karen just in the fact that Jennifer Aniston's always a contender just for mere presence.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
that show,
definitely would love to see an AI version of Reese Witherspoon get in instead of Reese Witherspoon. I think that would be pretty fun.
do you know who she is?
Mm-hmm. She's an AI
Um,
American.
about to end it right there. Yeah, I think I wish the morning show would just end, but they just keep casting more people in it every single year. I do think it's funny, but I think after they sent Reese to January 6th, I think it was over for that show. Jumping the
Absolutely. Send her
jumping the
space,
shark
then
doesn't
January
cover it.
6th in one season. I was just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, this is.
But I kind of love how much this category is full of like lesbian and lesbian adjacent characters. That's kind of fun. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
That's kind of fun. Let's go lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think especially Rhea Seehorn is the grumpiest lesbian alive.
I love her so much.
She's so good in that show. Um,
It's a good thing Claire Danes isn't here because that crown would be very contentious.
oh, that's a miserable lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
An alternate
Indeed.
title for Les Mis.
Oh my God.
Um, and
Wow.
now we can move on to drama series, where once again the Pit will probably be the one to beat. But what do we think will be joining it, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a runaway for the Pit here. I mean, last year it had Severance to contend with, which didn't end up being actually much of a competition. So it is so open for its win here. So if we're just looking then at the other seven that are going to get in, I mean, obviously Pluribus and Slow Horses from Apple. Those are big pushes. The Diplomat, it's a third season, but that's a show that is continuing to grow. Task definitely will be here. It's not the main, I mean, it's not just one of many HBO shows, but it probably will be the main push because they do still have Night of the Seven Kingdoms and the Gilded Age. Paradise definitely will be in here. And then it kind of opens up, I think, from there because you have a returning show like Stranger Things, but like, does anybody really care? The morning show, does anyone care? The Testaments, is it really going to have the same hold that Handmaid's Tale did? I don't think so, because at the end of Handmaid's Tale, it was kind of non-existent here. So I don't know. Those last final ones, I think are really up in the air.
And like Karen brought up earlier, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, historically, Game of Thrones shows have historically done well in this category. So I think that's in contention just for sheer name.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Karen? What are you thinking for this category?
I mean, I agree with what Erik said, including what he said about the Testaments, which is when we look at where Handmaid's Tale was with audiences and with the Emmys by the end. Even though the last season was good, it just didn't. It had kind of fallen off so much that it just didn't make any room. There wasn't any room left. There were so many other good shows that had come around, and so we don't have The Handmaid's Tale to kind of pave that pave that road for the Testaments. Even though the Testaments also, the first episode, I was like, oh gosh, this isn't great. But by the third one, um, which is what they dropped the first, sorry, I'm having a hard time talking. They dropped the first three episodes the first day. So I think we're at four now, or maybe five. But by the third episode, when you start to see the other characters' backstory and really start to understand more of what this world actually is, it does find its footing. And so I could see where it could do its own thing, but it's not going to be writing the Handmaid's Tale's coattails.
Yeah, The
That
Handmaid's
was a
Tale
weird
did.
word. Yeah, but but yeah, definitely I agree. I think A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is one that most likely will be in there. And Stranger Things, as much as I don't see it getting in with any of the acting categories, I could see it getting a lot of below the line love. And Netflix is really going to capitalize on the event aspect of that final season, especially the final episode. And for that alone, I could see it making its way in one last time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be super surprised by that, but I also wouldn't be shocked at its exclusion from this category.
Yeah.
I think for what we've been talking about in Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I think that that has a lot of accessibility to it. And I think that as long as people will sit down, I think the general reaction will be similar to how Eric felt about it, which was even if I'm not really attuned to the Game of Thrones universe already, this show is digestible and it's easy to walk through. And a lot of it, it's pretty lighthearted at first anyway. So I think that show has a lot of potential just if it can get, like we've mentioned before, more eyes on it. I think it's going to come down to who has seen what when we're going into this year, which is why I hope that things like the Gilded Age can survive from last year all the way to this year throughout the eligibility period and still keep that momentum going with it because it was another excellent season, but it's really going to come down to the love that people have for these kind of shows.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I think the absence of White Lotus and Severance, who like collectively had like 40 something nominations, those shows that had already started to kind of be curated by Emmy voters, like The Gilded Age, should be able to do really well here, just like overall. So I hope so. I hope that happens.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, The Gilded Age deserves guest actress in a drama from Merritt Weaver, who is nominated for every single thing she does, so she will be there. So that's their first in this year.
She needs to be nominated for that look that she gives in the like that one first initial image of her. Just mm-hmm. Absolutely just a legend.
Eric sent that image to me for months.
Mm-hmm. It's a good
Literal
reaction
months.
meme. It's just like, really? Did you
Yeah,
just
she's not.
did you just say that? Really?
She's really not having it in that. I think we started calling her guest actress nomination at that image.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Deserved.
So, before we go today, does anyone have any extra stray thoughts they'd like to throw down for any of the categories that we've gone through today, or just in general for the Emmys coming up as we get into the season? Eric?
Yeah, we didn't really get into supporting drama stuff, which I think is where the Pitt is going to really blow up. I know uh, I've seen some people online being like, "Oh, they should put Catherine Lanasa in lead and then kind of get more into supporting," which I really just want to swat down. I think that is not a the right choice. This is not ER. There are not multiple leads. There is one lead, and just it's okay that there is one lead. Just deal with it. She's going to win again, and it will be lovely. But this is going to open up the door for supporting nominations again because of the lack of White Lotus. I could see this category getting really full. There are potentially 7 slots. And, when you look outside of Lanasa and Julianne Nicholson in Paradise, there's a lot that can happen here. But also
I
in
agree.
supporting actor, Patrick Ball, Garen Howell should be able to make the cut here.
Yeah, to pierce through this year, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking, Karen?
Just thinking about some other shows that we didn't really talk about, and for reasons that make sense. Squid Game. Squid Game had a third season that I think is eligible this year, and that was so long ago. It's like, how is that? Like, that was such a huge thing, and where is that? Nobody's talking about that for Emmys. Um, and then another show that I just wish would get more love, and that's Dark Winds on AMC. That show is so great. And yeah, it won't get nominated for stuff, but watch it anyway because it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I actually haven't seen that one, so I'm going to have to put that on the ever-growing list of television I'm trying to catch up with. All right, before we go for the end of the day, Eric, can you tell everyone that they can find you on the internet?
Obviously and hopefully at awardswatch.com, as long as I'm still allowed to post there. And then on Twitter at AwardsWatch Erik, and then AwardsWatch on all other socials.
And Karen, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm also on awardswatch.com, and you can find me on Letterboxd and Blue Sky, and find all my new kitten content on my Instagram at Karen M. Peterson.
And my name is Tyler Doster. You can find me also at Awards Watch and at Tyler M. Doster on Twitter. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope your day is excellent.